Brings us to Zach, SC Dog 864. Favorite Mike Leach quote, if you can think of it.
I mean, it's got to be, it's got to be getting under a shade tree with your fat girlfriend.
Welcome to My Gotta Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview this week's matchup between the Georgia and Mississippi State Bulldogs. And we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out store.mygottapodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at My Gotta Podcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Oxia Time, at oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress.
About to do a bottle kill.
Oh, what are you finishing off?
I picked up a spare bottle of Weller, and so I have just a little bit left, and so I'm enjoying the Weller Special Reserve this evening because this Georgia team is special.
I like it. I actually just finished off. What did I finish off? I finished off that Chattanooga whiskey that I had. It was like a cask strength or something. It was pretty strong. So that actually just got poured into the Infinity bottle earlier tonight. I finished it, I don't know, a couple days ago. It's just been sitting there.
Nice.
I've got the Old Granddad bottled in bond tonight.
Hard to find them these around these parts lately.
Is it? Yeah, I actually I was in. Well, you know this because as I tend to do, I was texting you from the ABC store, but they had several bottles in one of our local ABC stores that I was in the other day. So it was
that's awesome. You should have bought them all.
I should have.
Only like $20 though.
I know, right?
$20-$30, something like that. I can't remember.
It's a good one. I do really like this. An excellent Bulldog Bourbon Social Club recommendation.
Mm-hmm. If you can find these value bourbons, basically you just need to buy them all. I keep waiting. My local store does not have a couple of them. So Bottled and Bond, Old Granddad, Bottled and Bond. Early Times is sometimes there, but not lately. I haven't really seen it lately. And then the Early Times Bottled and Bond, by the way.
Right.
And then there's another one, Old Granddad 114 is another bourbon that is fantastic that I don't think I've seen it on the shelf here at my local stores in like over a year and a half.
Gotcha.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those secrets. The secret's clearly out, or they just didn't plan very well.
Right. Yeah, that Early Times Bottle and Bond, I've literally seen it up here. I've seen it once. And that was actually at that place in South Carolina that you turned me on to. That's where I got my bottle of that. So
Southern Spirits.
Yeah. Not a sponsor yet.
Yeah. If you are local, apparently they have they're having a Pappy tasting this weekend.
I got that email. I'm now on the email list, so I was aware. I'm
like, do I want to drive to South Carolina this weekend? No, I do not.
Yeah. I don't know. I may have to text Greg. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what I've got going on this weekend. Maybe he'll want to go over and do that.
There you go.
So what do you have going on this weekend?
This weekend, let's see. Nothing. Our season is quasi over. We have like a bit of a gap here before we do our end of season tournaments for Carter's soccer team. Okay. And so they're doing some prep for 11v11 this weekend on Sunday, but nothing on Saturday. So I'll probably be doing a lot of yard work, trying to eliminate all these leaves that keep falling in my yard.
Oh gosh, seriously, I have to do that too. I actually today spent some time. We've had issues with like the dogs not coming in after we let them out, and we realized it's because they had found a hole and a way to get out of our yard, and they've been running around. So I spent. Kim was outside like calling for Murray, and then she saw him like 2 yards over, just like chilling and looking at her. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we've been having to leash the dogs only for the past couple of days. So this evening, before recording, I was shoring up the fence so that they can't get out anymore.
Nice.
So now that I've done that, now I need to do the same thing. Yeah, we got leaves everywhere, and I got to get like the last good mow. I actually just need to do like one more mow, I think at least, because we've got fescue here, so it grows a little longer. Mm-hmm. Anyways, As we've turned into a turf management podcast.
Turf management. Seriously. Everybody, there's so many dads out there that totally get that.
Seriously. Oh man. Well, that's good. I mean, reminder: you're also going to go for a run Saturday or
I
some
will
sort of
I will
exercise.
be I'll be going for a run on Saturday. I've been a little lazy this week, so I'm overdue.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I was lazy. I picked back up stuff yesterday. But I was trying to catch up on some sleep after the weekend, and I feel like my voice has pretty much recovered.
There you go.
For the most part. So that's good. Feeling better. Feeling better. The high proof bourbon will fix all that ails you. So
That's what I say. You got. Have you taken your medicine today? The 1920, the Old
not
Forester
today. 1920. Not today. But see, I was out of the 1920. That's why I finished off that Chattanooga whiskey bottle because that was the highest proof stuff I had. Was to knock everything out, make sure I didn't get a cold.
Got it.
So yeah, so bought the Old Forester to knock that out. Not to. I don't want to dwell on last week's too much, as this is the Mississippi State preview. However, the our now like favorite fan base, I guess, or whatever, or least favorite, whatever, jokingly. Uh, they have like set new levels for mental gymnastics this week.
Yes, yes.
What is going on?
The mental ninjutsu is strong with that crew.
I love these takes that are coming in. Like, I think my favorite is that the game would have been closer if it hadn't rained. I think that's my number one favorite. And then well, you kicked our butt less bad than you kicked Oregon's butt, so therefore, etc. And it kind of goes from there. It's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch it unfold on Twitter. An interesting bunch, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just a further reminder that I wish that these guys would just get creamed into oblivion every single week from now on.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Actually, while we're on that, why don't we go ahead and talk about this before, or why don't we pump up one topic a little sooner around the CFP? So we are recording on Wednesday night. We had originally planned to record Monday, opted to delay in the week, but now we have the college football playoff rankings. So, shocker to no one, Georgia moved up to number one. You've got Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU 4, Tennessee 5, Oregon 6. So, I think the one thing I had mentioned last time was, or I think I mentioned this, maybe I just texted it, but my only downside of the weather and us kind of having to pull back is I feel like we could have run the score up and kind of buried them. And we didn't get to because of the weather, right? We just didn't want to risk turning the ball over, etc. So they are still kind of hanging around at number 5. I'd say Tennessee isn't. I mean, I would say they're not eliminated from the playoff yet, although I think it would take them a lot of help. I think the Tennessee fan sees, oh, we're right behind TCU. If they lose, we bump up, and they might immediately. But there's a lot of things that could happen. They could get jumped by Oregon or USC as a one-loss Pac-12 champ, etc. So there's a long ways to go, and the rankings right now, I don't think they matter so much because I feel like the committee kind of makes it up week to week. So,
yeah, it's another week, man. It's just another week.
Yep. All right.
Let's just get through. Let's just get through this. Get through this unscathed. Put some points on the board. Leave no doubt, and just pack it in for the second half. That's what I'm looking for, man.
Okay. Nice. Fair enough. Well, why don't we move on to the matchup? So kickoff is on Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, although I believe that is 6 p.m. local time, right? They're Central Time. It is at Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville, Mississippi. Our Dogs come in at 9-0 and 6-0 in the SEC. Mississippi State comes in at 6-3, 3-3 in the SEC. The last time we played these guys in the COVID year was the 25th meeting all time between the two schools. We've played them, I think, since like 1914 or something like that, but only played them 25 times. So this will be the 26th meeting. Georgia is 19-6 against these guys all time. Mississippi State comes in not ranked. As we talked about, Georgia is now number one in everything. College football playoff poll, AP poll, and the coaches poll. It is on ESPN proper. And we've got Sean McDonough on the play-by-play, Todd Blackledge as the analyst, and Molly McGrath as the sideline reporter. So I think a pretty good crew. I like that crew calling the game.
I cannot understate it more. I love Todd Blackledge. I wish that we could get Brad Nessler and Todd Blackledge every single week.
Was it like, am I making it up? Weren't they together before, like in the past, before Nessler came to CBS? Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I feel like they were. I also feel like that Todd Blackledge was also quite often paired up with Ron Franklin as well from back in the day.
Yeah.
Which was also a fantastic pairing.
Right. Weren't they on the, I think they had the Britney Spears call together. Right. I think. Let's see. Right. I don't know why I was bringing it
up. Why are we talking about Britney Spears?
Yeah, exactly. Which is what Todd Blackledge asked Ron Franklin, from what I recall.
Exactly.
Let's see. The official hashtag that we won't use is UGA versus MSST from Mississippi State. And the weather, it's going to be cold, man. So partly cloudy. Yeah, partly cloudy throughout the day. High is like 53 during the day, but it's going to get down to 30 at night. So I don't know exactly what it'll be at kickoff. But in my extensive podcast research, I went back and was watching some of our game against these guys in 2020. And that one, based on what everybody was wearing, looked like that one was a cold one as well. So kind of threw it back to that there a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully it's not a throwback to the stuttering that we did out there. As you recall, Jim, this was one of the games that we had earmarked for a trap game. Yep. Potentially.
Yep.
So, we're on the road in a fairly difficult to get to locale. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do they fly in for this? Do they drive? What do they do? It's almost 5 hours. So I'm assuming they fly into somewhere and then bus over. But
yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, because it's kind of remote.
Yeah, it's not it's not a major city or whatever. So I don't know.
It's kind of. I've actually never been there. Have you ever been there?
I've never been. I've heard stories.
Yeah.
I've heard stories of how terrible this place is.
I've heard it's pretty much like it's kind of desolate. There's nothing else really there.
There's nothing there, but yeah, it's like you are in the country, boy.
Yeah.
I almost picture it you rolling through town and tumbleweeds are blowing through every so often.
Right. Can't move on without acknowledging that they are helmed by the Pirate, Mike Leach. The last time we played these guys was year one for him, and that gave us our glorious gift of Mike Leach as a bit. I don't know if we want to call it a cameo, I guess, on Friday Night Lights back in the day, telling Coach Taylor that he had lost his inner pirate. Lost his inner pirate.
Yeah. I'm sure. So, I'm surprised. I'm surprised in that cameo he wasn't asking where Papa Smurf was, because he looks like Gargamel.
Yes.
Thank you, Jason Huggins, for never being able to look at him the same way again ever.
Yeah, I can't unsee that now that he's pointed out.
dear listener, we will post the side by side.
Yeah, seriously, for real.
You be the judge.
For real. I believe that you have some fun facts. Is that correct?
I tell you what, there's a plethora of fun facts. I'm combing through which ones I want to call out. I did find one that was not. I did not send this to you ahead of time like the other ones, but so Davis Wade Stadium is the fourth oldest stadium in all of college football. Did you know?
I did not. That's excellent.
Yeah, it was originally built in 1914. It's the fourth oldest behind Penn's Franklin Field, Harvard Stadium, and Bobby Dodd Stadium. Yeah, the fourth oldest stadium in the country.
Nice, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's I just came across that.
Nice.
You mentioned Davis Wade, and I was like, oh, yeah, what is that? What is that?
Nice,
And
nice.
I still hadn't gotten to who that was, but the stadium that he is named after is apparently old.
Okay, okay.
Oh,
Nice.
apparently Davis Wade was a co-founder of Aflac.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Little Georgia connection there, but
Okay.
apparently he's a big supporter of Mississippi State.
Okay. Nice.
Let's see here. Cowbells. So we all know that they're like known for the cowbells. No one really knows like when this kind of started, but apparently it started in like the 30s or something like that and just kind of stuck. I like to think that it's probably associated with one of these fun facts that they list on their website that the university produces nearly 370,000 gallons of milk and 9,000 gallons of ice cream and 300,000 pounds of cheese that's sold on campus.
Interesting.
I guess they have a
Interesting.
creamery. Like, I guess UGA has a creamery. I don't know how that stacks up to UGA's creamery, but apparently they have, they're known for cows and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll go with it.
Is it free ice cream at Georgia for undergrads from the creamery, or is it just very highly discounted? I can't remember because there's like an ice cream shop on campus that like the students run from that creamery.
I never went. I believe that as I recall, I believe that it's like steeply discounted for
Yeah,
students.
that sounds right. I didn't go either, which I'm like super upset about because I love ice cream.
Yeah, seriously. Like, why did it? What was I doing? Like, why?
Yeah, how do we not know about these things?
I knew about it. I just didn't go.
Why didn't you tell me?
I know, seriously.
My question is, do you have a fun fact about why they are allowed to ring the cowbells, even though like no one else can have an artificial noisemaker? Because I have questions. It's fine if you don't have an answer, but I just still think that's weird.
So in my research, I believe that they basically it was banned. It was banned. Where was that? Where was that? Where was the cowbell one? There was a cowbell one because they actually went into explaining this thing. Where would it go? Cowbells. All right, here we go. Cowbells. So it was banned by the SEC in 1974. But basically they figured out ways to circumvent or just disregard the rule.
Okay.
And I get like basically they just didn't care. It's kind of like you're not supposed to bring booze into Sanford Stadium, but somehow you're able to bring like handles of booze. I'm pretty sure friend of the show, Miserable in Minnesota, is quite known for having handles of Jack Daniels in the stadium.
Okay, fair enough.
From my recollections.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I think that it was so they amended the rule in 2010, but I guess the amendment basically allows fans to bring them and play them at the game on the condition that once the ball is snapped and until the conclusion of the play at hand, which we all know is also not being followed. So
yeah, I'm sure it's not. Well, nice, man. Nice. Those are some good fun facts.
I have some other ones. I have some other ones too.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right? I do. I have some other ones. Where was the other one that I wanted to say? Did you know, Jim, that Texas A&M is not the first Aggies in the SEC?
Might the first Aggies be Mississippi State?
That is correct. They were originally known as like Mississippi A&M, and they were known as the Aggies until they changed names. I think it changed to like Mississippi State College or something like that, and like then they changed. So, and they have only been the Bulldogs since the mid 60s. So prior to that, they were just the Aggies. And then I can't remember what the other ones were, but they've only been the Bulldogs. They've only been the Bizarro Bulldogs since the 60s.
Man, yeah, that's really recent. Okay.
Yeah, that was my takeaway as well. Was like, wow, that's very recent. The other thing
I like that they changed actual mascots, unlike Auburn, and just like keeps adding to it. Sorry, continue.
just keep layering it on. One last fun fact, and then I'll move on. Thank you for the university and Saturday Down South because they have tons of fun facts about Mississippi State apparently. But the last one that I thought was interesting: the Bulldogs are one of 10 founding members of the SEC, which was formed in the 30s as well. They are still in the midst of a 73 season SEC title drought. Their first and only conference championship was 1941.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure where that checks out in terms of like the record for the SEC, but it has to rank up there, right?
Yeah, seriously, seriously. Nice, coming strong with the fun facts this week, John. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. I try. Well,
uh,
last minute googling for the win this week.
nice, nice. Let's see. Let's hit the news and notes. I don't have a ton, but just kind of looking at Kirby's press conference for injury updates, etc. Robert Beal was out in the game late against Tennessee,
Robert Beal.
and it sounds like he just had a stinger. So he said he had a stinger. Kirby said that he feels good about him being able to play, so that's good. Didn't use the word hopeful.
Is that a medical term? Stinger?
Stinger? It actually is. Yeah, like get a
Is
stinger
it?
in your shoulder. Or yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I've heard that before. And then AD Mitchell and Amarius Mims both got the hopeful kiss of death on Monday. Kirby had some additional time on Tuesday, and he listed several. Like he went into more detail about a bunch of guys. I don't have everything written down, but I know like McIntosh got mentioned again because he has like a deep thigh contusion again or something like he's had before. I guess he keeps re-aggravating it or something. But basically, like, who did I say? Kenny McIntosh is what I meant to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was about to say, did you say AD Mitchell?
Sorry. Yes. I think I did. Yes. McIntosh.
Okay.
And like Kirby rattled off this like long list of players, and he was like, hopeful to get all of them back. And like a lot of them actually made sense, but he had like AD Mitchell like in the same sentence. And he was like, well, AD isn't practicing, but I was like, what? It's like everyone else is like actually like practicing everything. So I don't know. You never know what to make of Kirby and his injury remarks, but that's all I got for the news and notes from Kirby's media availability this week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right.
Man, can we just like take a pause and just like dwell on the fact that we've been able to score and dominate games offensively without one of our best wide receivers?
Yeah, seriously. No, that is true.
That's amazing.
It is. And I mean, and how about like for the second year in a row, right? I mean, we did this last year, no Pickens, all regular season, and we're basically doing it this year. I mean, we had AD Mitchell for the first game. Really, I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
So I mean, he played what, like 5 snaps, I think, against Samford before he got injured. So yeah, pretty crazy. And I mean, and he was like our guy that we talked about, right? And you were looking for a big breakout year for him. I think we all were, and we saw it in game 1. So yeah, I don't know. Would love to get him back. Let's see. Let's just move into the game. Let's talk about the game.
Let's just move right into it, Jim.
Let's do it. So, what to look for when Georgia has the ball? I got some stuff on Mississippi State, a few players, and just kind of like where they lie. So, they do play a bit of a different defense. So they play a 3-3-5 alignment. It's the same defense they played in 2020. So they got the same coordinator that was here back then. I know like Leach had brought their coordinator in because he was someone that he had respected when he had played against them when he was at I think like New Mexico State years ago, and was kind of enamored by that defense. And it's very similar to what Jolie Dunn, his defense that he ran at Mississippi State back like when we were in school. But they're 9th in the SEC in points per game allowed. They are 6th in the SEC in yards allowed per game. And just a couple of guys to call out. Nathaniel Watson, he's number 14 as a linebacker. And then Jet Johnson, number 44, another linebacker. They are tied for 3rd in the SEC in tackles with 78. Fun fact, our Vanderbilt guy is still number 1 in the SEC in tackles, John. And I know when we talked about that, you were like, well, maybe they just have to tackle a lot because opposing teams are running a lot of plays. So I don't know, maybe similar scenario here with these two guys. I did find this interesting. So they do have the leading interceptor in the SEC. So Emmanuel Forbes, he's a cornerback, number 13. He leads the SEC with 5 picks on the season.
Interesting.
Yeah.
5 picks. Well, hopefully Stetson can stay away from him. Right. I mean, based on what I've seen, like we may not need it, but we'll get to that in a second.
Sure. So I mean, like for me, this just kind of feels like I did go back and I don't know. I kind of almost wish I didn't because I went back and rewatched some of the 2020 game against these guys. Which reminder that was JT Daniels' first start for Georgia.
That was the JT Daniels coming out party, as I
It
recall.
was. It was. So there was a lot of JT Daniels and Jermaine Burton. It's very weird to watch that. Um, I'll say too, just like in general, and this actually goes for both sides of the ball. Like, man, we're a lot better football team now than we were in 2020. It was shocking watching that team play as opposed to now. It's we have improved significantly on both sides of the ball, so that was pretty interesting to me.
Right,
But
right, right, right.
I do remember like we had a hard time getting going in that game, right? And on both sides, I think the offense was like kind of clicking, and then it would stall out. So I don't know how much of that was related to the different kind of defense that they're playing, et cetera, or again we were breaking in a brand new quarterback. So
Hmm.
I mean, I think it's all just comes down to I feel like this game is really it's more about us in our mindset, and I mean like we talked about with this game, there's the potential trap game. I mean, I think originally we were kind of looking at as like a look ahead type thing because I think we were all thinking back then that Kentucky was going to be better and that Kentucky game could be for the East kind of thing, and that's kind of out the window. Um, but now it's more like in the opposite direction, right? Like you don't want to have a hangover after that huge emotional high of last week, right? So
Right.
what does Kirby have in store to keep the 18 to 22 year olds focused this week against I mean a frankly overmatched opponent, and I don't think anyone would disagree with that talent wise.
Based on the predicted scores and the percentages, all the things, I would say that that's accurate.
Yeah. I know you had mentioned something in a text, and I'm curious if there's anything that was behind it about just like I think you were thinking that we were going to kind of the something along the lines that you thought we were going to run all over these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that kind of looks like it could be potential, especially given the fact that so their passing defense is kind of, I mean, statistically, it's closer to Missouri than anything else. And as we, frankly, as I'm looking at these stats, like, Kentucky may be the best passing defense that we play in the regular season thus
Okay.
far. But anyway, as far as Mississippi State, they're ranked number 38th in the country in terms of in terms of passing defense. Like you said,
Okay.
they have a defensive back that leads the SEC in interceptions, so that probably bears out. So Josh over on Dog Stats over on Dog Central, he had posted some numbers about this defense, which made it look like that their defensive success rate against the rush was like 20 something percent,
Hmm.
which is not good. I think it was like 28% or something like that.
Got it.
But the rushing success rate is not good, and that does not match up well against our boys. If they find it's kind of like a dog with a bone, right? Like I'm sure that Monken's tendency is to pass. I mean, if you look at the stats, our yards per game is
Mhm.
heavily skewed to the passing game. So
Yeah.
that said, if we're poking and prodding around, and if Kirby's wanting to protect the ball and just grind out a win, and get out of there with as little effort as possible, I'm sure that he would gladly take it. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they're ranked number 74 in the country in terms of rushing defense, and rushing yards given up per game. So,
Hmm.
I think they're averaging was it 150 yards,
Did they
which I
give up on the
believe
ground?
yeah, they're giving up 150 yards on average on the ground. So I
Okay.
think if I remember correctly, we're like 100 and what are our stats? Like 180 something. Oh, what are the stats? Where'd they go? I had them, and I lost them. Do you have the stats up?
uh, Georgia rushing per game.
Yeah,
I don't.
team. Here we go. I just need to click one more click over. Oh, what are we rushing? What are we rushing? Yards per game, rushing attempts, yards per game, 200. So we're just under 200 yards rushing per game. So given the fact that our team is considerably more elite than pretty much everybody that they have played, with the exception, I mean, even even with Alabama on the
I
schedule.
I was about to say, it's like, do you have to caveat that anymore?
Yeah. I don't know.
Uh,
We're the best offense and the best defense that they're going to play all season long,
yeah.
and I expect the score is going to bear that out.
Okay.
And like I said, I think that we can run on. I think that we can run the ball on these guys based on Josh's success rate, which I've been looking. At the beginning of the season, I was really fixated on this like net yards per play, which at this point I'm still kind of looking at it like what is our net yards per play? Because a long time ago, the senator had these stats that he was posting about all the people that have won the national championship. This was prior to us, summiting that mountain. Um,
Right.
we were statistically under the net yards per play threshold for what a championship team looks like basically every year that we thought that we might have a chance or whatever.
Right.
And the last several years, that's not been the case. We're still tracking, we're still trending above that threshold to be a national championship team. And I think that passes the eye test as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So I'm not so much looking at net yards per play or like yards per play as a metric, just making sure that we're above that threshold still, and we are. And so as you move beyond that, looking at predictors, like to me, like the bigger predictors thus far this season have been pretty centered around success rate and explosiveness. So we've been incredibly efficient. Last year was incredibly efficient. This year, I feel like is even more efficient. If I haven't looked at the comparisons year over year, like with
Hmm.
the latest game or anything like that, but like Josh's metrics are phenomenal in terms of success rate, and our success rate versus teams that are not good at defending the run is going to be pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That answers what I was trying to get at.
That was a long-winded way of saying that I think that we're going to be able to run on these boys.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, as you failed to tell, your new friend Stacey Searles after the game, I mean, his boys are doing really well. And I think
I
like,
should have told him. Like I said, he was with recruits, and I was literally in passing. Like I think I had passed him, and I was like, "Should I say anything? Should I say anything? Should I say anything?" And
it's all
finally, in a bit of a drunken stupor, I was like, "Hey, Stacey,
good. So
go
good.
Dogs!"
So
I should
good.
have said, "I'm sorry, I criticized the out of your offensive line." Sorry, Carter.
Sorry, Carter. Sorry, Carter. I will say there was I forget who posted it, and I sent you a tweet today. It was like multiple pictures of like the pocket that Stetson had against Tennessee. And I know we were kind of texting back and forth about it a little bit, but like,
Mm-hmm.
like in general, like, even if you go back to like the Oregon game, right, where we had AD Mitchell and the offense was so explosive, like the pocket was was great. Stetson had all day in that game. I think the question back then was still more like the run blocking and could we open the big holes, etc. And that has also gotten better, frankly, since your rant, John. So I'm kind of like crediting you for that, for putting that out
I
into the ether. So, you just want to see that continue. So yeah, no, I'm with you. And I mean, as an old man, I like to see us run the ball, anyways. So I've got no problem with that.
you like the old man football?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've always said, I feel like man ball was always a misnomer because like we don't have a fullback, and like I feel like man ball would have to have a fullback, but I digress because
In
I've
order
I've
to
let that ship sail.
in order to effectively man ball, you have to have a fullback. Is that how it works?
That's what I think, but maybe that's just me. I want to bring back the
Oh
fullback.
man,
I know I'm alone. Although, you can always shift Brock Bowers right into like an H back or whatever,
I
or
was
heck,
about to
Darnell
say, haven't
Washington.
haven't haven't we thrown Brock in there?
Yeah, I mean Brock could be a tailback. I mean, whatever. I could go on a thing there.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I am
Well,
curious to
well,
see.
I don't take full credit on that. I mean,
Okay,
basically, I feel like that we spoke about it, and it's like, man, I just feel like we're not running the ball very good. And
Right, right.
Graham like put all of my like feelings into actual data on like the blocks, the blocking schemes. I don't know
Right.
if he's actually like revisited that because I don't think that they like completely abandoned the run fits or the schemes that they were talking about
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that were problematic. But I do believe that they're doing much better at the things that they're good at.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think Graham's in it this week. He's been out of commission. So, Graham, we hope you get well soon.
Yes, yes, yes. Prayers for the Dog Central squad.
Right. Yeah.
We're dropping like flies across the board.
I know. I feel like we're like the only ones that aren't sick right now.
Jim, knock on your
Knock on
head.
wood. Knock on wood. I
Knock on
knocked on my
wood.
head. Knocked on my head. Knocked on my head. Sorry. Sorry. The only other thing I was going to say was just like in the receiver rotation and everything. Still curious to see what's going to go on there. Curious to see if we see any more Dom Blaylock this week. So that's one thing I'll be watching for.
Hey, be curious to see Don Blaylock. Be curious to like, man. At some points, Curious is going to have a breakout game, right? Like, even if it's like the national championship game, I'd be fine with it.
I love it. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you. He had a long touchdown reception against these guys back in 2020. So, um, yeah, never doubt
Come
Kyrus.
on, Curious. Never doubt him.
Never doubt him. Let's see. Before we move on to the defense, I just want to take a moment to remind everyone that season 3 of My Gotta podcast is presented by Oxia Time. If you want to commemorate the Dogs' national championship in style, you've got to check out their Georgia national championship timepieces. And now there's a new watch that's been added to the collection. The Georgia national champions Alethea 2 is the first women's watch in the collection. It comes with both the stainless steel herringbone mesh strap and a white alligator leather strap. So, John, like if you're a Gator hater and you want to have a Georgia National Championship watch, this is the watch for you. Additionally, complimentary custom engraving is included in your purchase. So always remember that. You can put that, it goes on the bottom of the watch. So you'll know it's yours and have a special message there for yourself. So also a reminder, exclusively for our listeners, you can get 10% off these timepieces by using the code MyGottaPodcast at checkout. So be sure to go check them out. Oxia Time at oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com.
It's just beautiful. What a perfect gift, man. Just throw your Gator hater strap on and roll out. Let's go.
Love it. Love it. So ladies, if you've been wanting one and felt like they didn't, they were too big and bulky for you, this is out there. And gentlemen, perfect Christmas gift for the lady. So be sure to go check those out at oxiatime.com. All right, John, let's talk about the defense, or what to look for when Mississippi State has the ball. So as we know, the Pirate, loves to run the air raid. He comes from that air raid tree. This is all part of that coaching staff that Kirby was on back at Valdosta State back in the day. It's kind of where all this stuff was born. And moved on to Kentucky and has since moved on and kind of had its variances since. They are led by their quarterback, Will Rogers. He is 300 of 439 passing. That's for 68.3% completion percentage, 2,912 yards, 26 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. I don't know if you remember this. When we played them in 2020, that was his first start ever for them. He was a true freshman. And I think like in our preview, we didn't even know who was going to start. And it was kind of a last minute decision thing, and that he got the nod. And now here he is well atop the SEC passing leader standings. He is the number one passer in the league. That should be a surprise to nobody. If you look at like other players around them, it's interesting. Like they have 8 receivers with over 20 receptions. So, there's not like one guy that's doing this. They are spreading the ball all around. Just to contrast, Georgia only has 3 receivers with over 20 receptions. So they are really spreading it around. And then as far as running the ball, Dylan Johnson and Joquavius Marks are the leading rushers. But they also catch the ball a lot as well. They actually also both have over 30 receptions. So they throw the ball. They're going to throw the ball a lot.
they're definitely going to pass the ball. I mean, obviously it begins and ends with Will Rogers. So I think that's yeah. Obviously they're a much more pass happy version of the team we just played, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I do, I don't know. I mean, like I know it's like a different, it is a different offense, and so like actually one of the things again I think that we talked about last time we played these guys, and it was 2 years ago, um, was that this is basically like the aerial version of the triple option, right? And so it's a thing that teams employ. Originally, it was deployed just like the triple option when you have a talent gap, right? You're not as talented, you do something that not everyone does, and you're trying to like use your scheme to make up for your lack of or your lesser talent than your opponents. So a lot of it is like multiple routes. There's a route tree progressions for the quarterback, generally looking for the shortest pass first, then he's going to go deeper. And what I'm going to be looking for is what are we going to do to defend that? Because in 2020, we did not get much pressure, especially early in the game. We were dropping back in coverage, so we were like rushing. We had a 3-man rush, and we were dropping eight into a zone coverage, and we didn't get much pressure. From what I remember in that game, we did like switch up the defensive line. I think late in the game. Another thing, actually, like Jordan Davis was out that game. We were missing Jordan Davis. We were missing LeCount, I guess, was already out for the season at that point, but we were missing some key guys. So what I want to see is what have we learned since then, right? So that was the first time we had faced that offense, and I mean we struggled with it, right? And like in similar, like the first time under Kirby Smart that we faced the triple option under Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech in 2016 didn't go so well, right? We lost to him. But by 2017, Kirby had figured it out. He had figured out, changed up the plan, figured out how to stop it. So I'm kind of hoping it's similar here. I mean, obviously we still won the game, but they, it was not a runaway victory. I think it was like it was like we won by a touchdown in 2020. Again, weird year, but I'm looking to see what this staff can do against this offense, having seen it once before already.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you look at them how they stack up statistically, right? So passing offense like across the country, right? So Tennessee, the reason I said that they're more pass happy was that Tennessee's offense begins and ends with a run game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I believe that this game begins and ends with Will Rogers because they are throwing it right at 50 times a game, whereas Tennessee's throwing it 32 times a game.
Yeah.
The average yards per attempt, Tennessee was 10.6, Mississippi State 6.5. So the little quick throws, like you said, I guess they're going to be looking for the short pass and then clearly not like throwing it too deep. Completion percentage wise, they're 68% versus Tennessee at 71%. Yards per game, pretty similar. Tennessee's 335 yards per game, Mississippi State 325 yards per game. Where that differs is that Tennessee was I think that they were averaging over 100 something yards, whereas Mississippi State is only averaging like 80 something yards per game, if I remember correctly.
Gotcha.
Where was that number at? The first rushing yards per game. Oh, that's passing. What's rushing? I was about to say they're definitely not rushing 300 yards. Where is it? Rushing attempts, rushing yards. Yeah, 81. Their rushing yards are 81 per game. Yeah, they're averaging 3.5 yards per rush. I don't expect them to be able to look to the run game to save them at all.
No, they basically just like run occasionally to keep you honest. It is from what I've seen. So
right, which I don't know that. I mean, we've got the space eater that is Jalen Carter sitting there in the middle. So like, I just don't think that they're going to we're not even going to be bothered by any attempt to try to run the ball. So, similar statistics, 26 touchdowns for Mississippi State, 26 for Tennessee, 3 interceptions for Tennessee versus 5 interceptions for Mississippi State. Yeah, I don't think that we're going to have any problem defending this team on the offense as long as we have a sound tackling, which the
Hmm.
Tennessee game was pretty phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
Malachi Starks is just an absolutely phenomenal talent in terms of closing some of those quick outs where the safety has to crash down on the receiver and basically
Yeah.
make an open field tackle. We just have been really good. Javon Bullard has been a
Mm.
fantastic talent as well.
Man, Javon Bullard has been playing lights out.
Yeah, dude. I think that I think was it Jason that posted about his recruiting
It
and
was
how the
Dustin, actually, I
Dustin
believe.
was
Yeah.
Dustin. Okay. Yeah, he posted a nice little article right up on the development at the cornerback position. So Kirby Smart is making an absolute name for himself in terms of being able to coach up three-star talent into potentially, obviously he's done it a couple of times with Stokes, with D-Bake. It sounds like Bullard is the next is the heir apparent to that to that mantelpiece.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm, just going back to Jalen Carter again, I think I mentioned before, like a lot, I think a lot of the success these guys had against us last time, we were missing our stud defensive tackle and that Jordan Davis didn't play in that game. And,
Right.
having Jalen Carter back, his third game back now makes me feel a lot better. So cool, man. I
Yeah,
got to,
there's a world where we could potentially there's a world where you could foresee us shutting them out. It just
yep.
depends on how they it just depends on what version of their wide receivers show up and if the head coach is closing up the chairs that they don't deserve to sit on.
Right.
Do you
Right.
see that?
I did see that. I did see that. I think we had a question about that. Um,
Okay.
let's see. So for special teams, just a couple of nuggets on them. They lead the SEC in average kickoff return yards at 29 yards per kick return. Conversely, Georgia averages 19.4 yards per kickoff return. The other thing I noticed is I found two kickers in their stats, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but Massimo Biscardi, I'm sure I butchered that name, seems to be the kicker now. But Ben Rabin has also kicked. He was kicking it earlier in the year. I'll say Massimo has the better name, but Ben Rabin has the better mustache. Just FYI, in case anyone is wondering.
No, a new coach is over under how many times they talk about his mustache in the game.
Nice, nice. Uh, let's see. You about ready to hit the listener questions, or did you have anything special teams?
I don't, although Mr. Thorson,
Hmm.
appreciate you and your efforts. I think I
Hmm.
saw him tweet out that if anybody had Stetson Bennett's number to call him, so he can call him to thank him for letting him punt.
I did see that. That was awesome. And we got to call out the new nickname that we saw for him on Twitter. The Boomin' Onion. I love
The
that.
Boom and Onion. I imagine
uh,
that's one of the nicknames that, like, if you ask him about it, he'll probably hate it.
I'm sure he would. I'm sure he probably
That's
wouldn't even.
like
He wouldn't
that's
even
like
get
an
it.
that's like an F3. That's like an F3 name. Like if you showed up to F3 and you're an Australian kicker, they'd call you the Boom and Onion.
Nice, nice. I like it. I like
I need to come up with what your F3 name would be, Jim, even though you haven't posted.
it. Sorry, my bad. Too early for me.
In fairness, I've been sparse this season with Carter Soccer, so
My name would be like I'm still sleeping or something. I don't know. That's all I got. All right. Well, before we head to the listener questions, I just want to remind everyone that this podcast is powered by Zencaster. So Zencaster is an all-in-one podcast recording solution. So they'll record your audio. They can record up to 4K video. And everything records locally on each participant's computer while you're recording. So that way, you get a local recording. Everything's not going over the internet, to the cloud live. So kids see a much better quality recording locally. So, John and I, we were trying to figure out how to do this when we got started, and Zencaster is the solution. we landed on, and we've been using it ever since. So, if you are interested in starting your own podcast, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code MyGod. You'll get 30% off your first 3 months of Zencastr Professional. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. All right, John, let's hit the listener questions.
Let's do it. We love our listeners.
We do. We love the questions every week. Thank you to everyone who submits them. Much appreciated. Let's start off with John Michael D. He has a throwback to the Tennessee game, throwback to UT, but has there been a more satisfying opponent desperately trying to score a touchdown at the end of the game?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, seriously, like there,
Yeah.
I mean, Wes Rucker, if you don't follow him, like look up his tweets, dear listener. This man is a verified beat writer for Tennessee, and he has been doing nothing but making excuses and talking about how Tennessee was still in this game when they were literally down 27-6.
Yep.
Making statements like, if he scores this, if he scores that, look at him, like Hyatt breaking away from the defender here. If he hits that, he's gone, and like completely ignoring like some of the things that Georgia was doing that could have equally have been said. Like,
yeah,
I just if there's 11 minutes left in the game and you're down 27-6, bro, you got your ass beat. I'm sorry. Just move on.
Yep.
Sorry, Carter.
Yeah, sorry, Carter. Yeah, and that was like that was like key of those mental gymnastics that I was talking about. So yeah, I agreed. It was quite nice, quite satisfying, and the fact that they're talking like that now makes it even more yummy, as a certain coach would say. I'll say
it's delicious.
Absolutely. Actually, my next thing kind of ties in with this next one, because one more thing. Aaron King said, "Has Georgia now started a new college football loudest fans war? I wouldn't be surprised if other fan bases try to beat the decibel record now, because apparently we set the decibel record." I'm still.
Is this verified, or are we talking like
exactly? That's my question.
We're throwing a graphic. We're going to throw a graphic up that says 150 decibels, bro.
Yeah, well,
I can totally see South Carolina throwing up some crap like that.
Well, yeah. So I mean, it was showing on the Jumbotron, but I don't know where that register is, right? So it said 130 or 130 something. So I have the same question. I don't know if you saw this, LSU, Alabama, because like they've got a seismograph.
The seismograph, yeah.
And at the end of the game, when they scored the touchdown in overtime, and when they successfully converted the 2-point conversion, those plays both registered on the seismograph on campus because it was so loud. So that's pretty cool.
I don't know. Like if you have a seismograph built on a swamp, like does that really count?
Okay.
The ground's already moving underneath you.
Fair. So the other thing I wanted to add here was something that I forgot to talk about in the last one. And actually Dwight was giving me crap about it at the tailgate. Cause he had asked like over under times we're going to hear Rocky Top. And he was making fun of the fact that I think I said 4.5 and you said like 11 billion or something like random. But my point is I actually personally never heard it. We were so loud you couldn't hear it. Nathan gave a count on.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, he is assists the Redcoats, I guess I'll say. So he's much more in tune with those things. So yeah, his count was actually something like 8 or something, I think. So it hit the over from what I said, but I heard it 0 times. I know they played it after they scored a touchdown. I could tell they were playing it, but you couldn't really hear it. It was interesting. It was literally that loud. Okay, so enough about Tennessee. We can move on.
I figure if you have a song, like I'm just saying, like, whatever. I don't make poor life decisions. But right. If I were an opponent that had a song that I knew that my opponents hated, I would play it all. I would play it the entire time I was in the stadium.
Right. Yeah. Like they do. Right.
They should. I mean, if you only played it 8 times, like
they didn't have any reason to play it.
But you don't have. That's what I'm saying. Like,
they shouldn't need one. Like, just play it anyways.
Just to annoy everyone in the stadium.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, Florida at its peak, like back in like the 2000s or whatever, like back when Spurrier and Meyer were in charge, like They used to play that stupid. Oh my god,
Yeah, yeah.
I hated that thing. Oh my god, I hated that thing.
You also hate the South Carolina Gamecock screeching in the stadium. That's
Yes,
also quite annoying.
yes.
Let's see, 51-7 GATA. As we get ready for another game with Hale State, do you think Dan Mullen will ever get back into coaching? Apparently, he's trying to get on in Kirby's good graces because he keeps talking up Georgia all the time
He
in the
keeps
media
he
these days.
keeps he keeps hyping Georgia up, and he's on Lake Lanier or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Lake Oconee, I think.
Lake Oconee. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it was. You're right. I was wrong. Yeah, I'm sure he'll end up being. I'm sure he'll end up coaching again at some point. Somebody with a terrible offense that may or may not be in the state of Alabama is probably going to look for someone to come in and help them. I'm not
fair.
saying that it's Alabama, but like, isn't that the land of misfit coaches?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, he'll go back. I don't think we've seen the last of Dan Mullen. I don't
although
know where it'll be,
although
but
although that certainly would be saying something if Mullen isn't already there. That's certainly saying something, right?
that's a good
If
point.
like even for Coach Saban, Dan Mullen is a bridge too far, and that's saying something because Butch Jones had been there.
True, true. Fair. Um, let's see. Joey Weiss. What did Alabama do on defense to limit their being Mississippi State's passing success, and how can Georgia get similar results? So, I mean, not to. I know we're not so much like the film analysis guys, but I will say this: like, if you look at that game and you look at the stats, I'm not sure. Like Alabama and Mississippi State actually had like similar passing yardage numbers in that game. So, I mean, I think the main thing they did was keep Mississippi State out of the end zone. Like, they basically deployed like a bend but don't break type thing, keep them in front of you and don't let them get past you, from what I can see. I think like Bryce Young and and Will Rogers actually had like similar passing numbers in that game, from what I can remember. Alabama just had a lot more points. So basically, they just kept them out of the end zone. So I don't know. I mean, I think, like I said before earlier, I'm curious to see what we do. I don't feel like we'll do exactly the same as last year, whatever, 2 years ago in 2020, where we're just rushing three and dropping eight. I suspect we'll be bringing some more diverse pressure this time as opposed to last time.
Yeah, I think that what's interesting to me about that game is just the way in which they got out, the way that they got out ahead. I mean, it was so Alabama had the ball. They punted after their first series, but after that, this was the scoring drives that Alabama had. They went 6 plays and scored a touchdown. 6 plays, what is it, 85 yards. Then they had another scoring drive, 3 plays, 78 yards, bang, 14-0. Then Mississippi State decided to go for it on fourth down and ended up turning the ball over. And then Alabama runs 4 plays and scores a touchdown. So like,
yeah.
In a matter of like, at that point there was, what was the time on this touchdown? When was it? I mean, they were up 24-0 or 21-0, and the game had barely started, basically. So
yeah. So I mean,
basically, I do think that it's a bend but don't break situation, because
yeah.
Alabama had the quick stride offense, which has got to be largely through the air. But Mississippi, by comparison, they ran 13 plays, 15 plays.
Yeah.
Like
long drives, but no points to show for it.
Exactly.
Yep. Agreed. Let's see. This one is just a bit of a shout out. So Andy Coleman, your guy, Ran T-Dog, said he just bought the fam 5 tickets for Starkville. Couldn't find a hotel within an hour's drive. Going to stay in Tuscaloosa. So I saw some replies. Sound like, I guess that's pretty normal, because as we discussed earlier, there's nothing in Starkville apparently.
I mean, that's still crazy to me, because that's still like an hour. That's still like an hour and a half drive from Tuscaloosa to Mississippi State. So, or Starkville or whatever.
Yep. So safe travels, Andy.
Yeah,
Uh,
Andy, have fun. Enjoy it. It's gonna be a cold one. Hopefully Sarah brought her hopefully
mm,
Sarah brings her jacket.
nice, nice. Let's see. Bubby Dean, is it within SEC rules to smack a redneck shaking a cowbell in your face?
I think that you should absolutely smack them with a peach bottle of Crown Royal.
Oh, nice, 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 nice.
Bubby,
That's a very specific.
shout out to Bubby.
That's a very specific answer. I can't beat that one for Bubby. All right, Lamar, our guy, Lamar Lovelace. How many fat girlfriends do the MSU players have? All right, do you know what this is about? Are you familiar with this?
Yes, I do. I mean, apparently,
I've got some audio. I've got some audio for the uninformed. Do you want to
oh,
hear it?
okay.
All
Let's
right, let's
hear it.
let's let it run.
It's just quintessential pirate.
All right, here we go.
I'll get in trouble for this, I'm certain, but where instead of playing hard and getting a first down and getting a play, then you want to sit behind a shade tree, eat a fish sandwich, and drink a lemonade with your fat little girlfriend, and that's what we're shooting for way too often. I thought, when can we relax, making judgments on plays, and well.
I don't. So apparently he said this before, and this was like the return of the little fat girlfriends. He had a rant. I don't know whether it was at Texas Tech or Washington State, and this is like an analogy he used before. He has used before in the past, and this past week was the return of the little fat girlfriends. So I'm not sure.
There's so many. I have so many questions and comments about that audio, but I mean, I guess that it's just one of those things. It's like I don't know.
It's so weird. I guess I hope they have a lot because I think that means that they're not playing well. So
yeah, oh yeah, for
many.
sure. I think I'm taking it to mean that they're lazy and not willing to close the deal on something more. If that bears fruit,
sounds right. I'm not entirely sure.
So I would say that probably tracks with like, do you remember was there an article or an interview that they did with some former Mississippi State players that were like talking about like, what's it like to play for a guy like that? And like, they would talk about like the quarterback room and how they would spend hours in the quarterback room talking about like philosophical debates and things like that. Like this has nothing. This has nothing to do. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna have to source this.
I don't think I've seen this, but it sounds very on brand.
It's so funny. They would talk about having to go to meetings for hours and like discussing like all sorts of things that had nothing to do with football.
Amazing. Which basically sounds like a Mike Leach press conference.
Exactly.
Which gets me to brings us to Zach, SC Dog 864. Favorite Mike Leach quote, if you can think of it.
I mean, it's got to be getting under a shade tree with your
I mean, that one is hard to beat.
That's pretty funny, right?
It is hard to beat. Okay, so I've got some more audio, and I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's like ridiculously long. But I'll kick it off. So we've talked about this before. So this is when he was at Washington State, and someone asked Mike Leach if all of the Pac-12 mascots got into a huge fight, who would win? And this is what he said.
Well, first of all, what kind of mythical powers does a Sun Devil have? We've got to consider that. I'm going to say the Wildcat's out. The Trojan, does he have a horse or is he on foot? Does he have a bow and arrow or just his sword?
I love like how seriously he took it. Then he goes into all stuff. He's like, well, you got a bear. Is Stanford? I mean, if it's a tree, I mean, it's going to get chopped down. And all it's like he answers it like so. He takes it way too seriously. Or I don't know. I guess he's not taking it seriously, but whatever. He goes on and on. So that was my favorite. I'll never forget when he did that.
Oh my gosh, there was another similar exchange where he was asked if a hot dog was a sandwich.
Amazing. I got into a debate about that with Mecole Hardman in his Twitter space once. It was pretty funny.
Oh, you did?
Well, I mean, like it wasn't so much that I got into it. He was hosting a space, and that was like the title of it, and I joined it at one point and gave my thoughts on it.
Well, while we're on the topic, like what is your take? Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, a hot dog is a hot dog. That's my take. But I've heard some pretty good arguments. I've heard some pretty good arguments that it's a sandwich. I'm not gonna lie. Will Kaplan asked, "Is Mike Leach okay?" Which I've got the audio that prompted this question as well.
I'm working on this trademark cough. What do you think?
Oh my gosh! Seriously,
It's getting better too. Well, then we marched it downfield. I thought we could have been closer, and then
Oh my gosh! So yeah, that was at his press conference this week. Okay, sorry, no
Oh
more,
my
no
gosh,
more Mike Leach soundbites.
his
Sorry.
entire press conference was like him coughing. I'm like, dude, coach, you sound terrible.
I know. Yeah,
Not to mention the fact that he looks terrible compared to like his audio from Friday Night Lights.
that's true. Yeah. How long ago? I guess that was a pretty long time ago. But yeah, hopefully he is okay. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the coughing made it into the fat little girlfriend as well. So
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm wondering if he has RSV like John did.
mm,
It's going around.
could be. Let's see. Next up, we've got Rambo. Is Mike Leach? Oh, I meant to look this up and I forgot to. Apologies. Is Mike Leach teaching a class like he did at Washington State? And can we take it online? I don't know. We'll have to put glasses on it. Let's move on. John, you like to do the Googles and see if you can find it, and we can come back to it if you find anything. As far as not that I'm aware of, but we'll try to put glasses on it. Let's see. My dog bites. What's the over under that Leach will fold up all of the chairs for his wide receivers this coming weekend? So that's what you referenced earlier. So I guess he was mad at his receivers play, and he started folding up their chairs on the sideline, saying that they did not deserve to sit down.
I'll let you answer the folding chairs, and then we're going to come back to the class.
Oh, okay. We have late breaking news. Over under. Wait, it was an over under, right? Over under that he will, or is it the over under of how many chairs he's going to fold up? I'm going to set the over under at 3.5 chairs folded up. That's my line. All right. So John, is he teaching a class?
He is.
Yes. What is it?
He is teaching a class. Let's see. I'm trying to see if you talk alongside. I'm like scrolling through like what the class is on. Oh, okay. It's on successful football and warfare tactics.
What? Oh my gosh. I mean, like that's up there with, coaching principles of basketball by Jim Herrick Jr.
Yes, he's teaching a special class.
Okay.
I guess it's similar to the thing that he did at Washington State. But yeah, he has insurgent warfare and football strategy.
Okay, got it.
And I guess that he teaches it with his friend Michael Baumgardner, who
Interesting.
he sounds familiar. Oh, that's right. He was at the embassy in Baghdad in Iraq.
Okay.
Interesting. A former senator or something like that. But yeah, he teaches that class. Okay. I don't know if it's online.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we don't know that, but at least you got the first answer. Good stuff. Good research on the fly.
Yes.
All right. This next one, I think we actually talked about it. It's just that we solicited questions before our review dropped. So our buddy Chris, British Bulldog, said, please provide your Raising Cane's review in full. So I think we did that. I'll just add something that we didn't say in the podcast, but you did drop on Twitter. Nice video of Carter, who gave Raising Cane's 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I think he was caught up in the moment because I definitely think that they're not
10
my
out of
favorite.
10. I would say
10 out of 10 for me.
Okay, I would say I enjoyed it more than Zaxby's, but I'm not going to put it up there with Guthrie's. But that might just be nostalgia talking. So I think we have to have them again to know for sure.
I'm gonna say that the Zaxby's chicken fingers are more closely to what I remembered Guthrie's chicken fingers being.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's. Okay.
I also think that we didn't do it justice because we were eating it kind of on the fly. I did have a fresh one. I did have one fresh one. I did have it with some sauce, but I do think that there are other sauces that you could potentially throw in there that would make it much better.
That's true. I think we need to go back and have it just as more of a meal. Like just
Yeah,
sit
yeah.
down as a meal, and we'll get it better. So we'll check
And I
back
believe,
in again.
that they have other varieties than like just the original. I could be
Mhm.
wrong, but
Mhm.
some have spicy, and you could have it tossed or whatever. But
I'm not sure they do. I'm not sure they do.
listen. My wife and son are two peas in a pod when it comes to like what they ordered at what they ordered as kids.
Yeah.
Carter is a chicken connoisseur, so he does say that it's a 10 out of 10, but I still question that.
Let Carter speak for himself, John. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's caught up. He's caught up in the British Bulldog pressure.
Right. Well, that's fair. Fair. It's a lot. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. Let's see. Chad Jarvis. Any chance we come out flat after how hyped we were last weekend? Maybe a slow start, fall behind, then come on like the normal Georgia. I guess I kind of talked about that earlier. Just saying, like, that there was a huge emotional game last week.
What
I'm
was
kind of,
it? Was it though?
dude. Are you kidding me?
I mean, it was an emotional win in terms of like everybody was like super stoked that we won at the end, but like we were in control of that game, man.
That doesn't
like,
mean they're not hyped up for the game. That's totally different. Like you go watch that video, John. Go rewatch the hype video or the review or whatever you call it, the highlight video that the school released.
All right,
Those guys and all the
if
the
you're
speeches talking about earning
up.
earning our respect. No, I'm talking about at kickoff, right? Because this is, are we going to come out flat or are we going to be hyped? We were so hyped for that game. It's hard to replicate that. That's my point.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So having said that, though, I do feel like, night road game under the lights, right? I think that gives you some hype.
That's a good point. We're gonna be like under the daylight savings lights, right? I think it was who was it? No, it was Kyle, my buddy that drove. That was at the game with us. On the ride back, we were talking about how the people that live like in the central time zone, when the sun starts going down and it's like it's dark at like 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
For those people that are kind of on the border or whatever, but like it's going to be cold. It's going to be darker than we're used to because we're used to playing these like 3:30. Like we haven't played very many night games, right? Like
yeah, I mean. Missouri, right? That was in that game, right? Am I remembering that wrong? I think it was. So yeah, agreed.
I'm just happy that we get a night game where I can maybe just throw a fire outside and watch the game outside and not have to worry about the sun beating down on my TV.
Right. Yeah. Agreed for sure. Okay. Actually, this one, I think I meant to group these two together. So Georgia chimed in with, is this night game Struggle City like the Mizzou game? Hey, Mizzou was a night game. Plus a hangover of Tennessee, or did the team learn from Mizzou game and handle things early to take the crowd out by the half? So again, I would love to think that they did learn from that Missouri game. I think in general, my thing is this, right? Like, we just need the Georgia team that showed up to show up, right? Like when Georgia shows up, like we know they can be, no one's beating them. It's a lot of it, they're kids and it's the mentality. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that, all the elements are certainly there to have it be a struggle bus game, but, I've determined that this team, as long as we don't turn the ball over, as long as Stetson doesn't throw interceptions, we don't fumble, we don't muff kicks, as long as we don't lose the turnover battle, like we're gonna blow through everybody.
Yeah, knock on wood, John. As my sister says, you can't bring these things up. That's just a joke. Okay.
I mean, I'm serious. Like
I know. You're right.
If we don't turn the ball over, we're gonna beat the ever living crap out of literally everyone on our schedule, with the exception of maybe Ohio State, and we'll get to that one at some point, I'm sure.
Sure. Let's see. Fletcher Proctor. Georgia is clearly top dog in the SEC. See what I did there? That's Fletcher's. See what I did there. What can we change Mississippi State's mascot to so that there isn't infringement? Bucks. He said the state animal is the white-tailed deer. The catfish. Mississippi State leads the U.S. in its production. And then he said also, I hate Ron Polk. So Ron Polk he was a Georgia baseball coach actually when I was there, but he had come from Mississippi State. He left us and went back there. So agreed, Fletcher. Not a fan. All I don't know what was it before. I know they've only been Bulldogs since the '60s. I don't think we said what it was before then. I don't know.
Before then, it was the Aggies, I believe.
Oh, that's right, the Aggies. Yeah. Hey, we could do that, and then we make Texas A&M go back to the Big 12 because I want to contract.
Exactly. Wait, hold on. What's the question?
What can we change their mascot to? We're the Bulldogs. They need to be
we're
something else.
their mascot too.
What else could they be?
How about the cows? Since they have the cowbells.
There we go. It makes too much sense. Cattle.
There we go.
Can we say cattle, plural? The Mississippi State cattle.
Mississippi State bulls? I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Or,
I like that too. And then that also causes infringement with Texas when they come, and then they can fight that out. So I'm good with that. All right, Hug Dog, Jason Huggins. One, we already talked about this. Ever notice how Mike Leach looks like Gargamel from the Smurfs? So,
oh my gosh, the guy looks just like Gargamel.
It's ridiculous. So no, neither of us had ever noticed it before, Jason. But now, like I said earlier, we cannot unsee it. So amazing factoid.
There is a whole swath of people in the population of Georgia fandom that have no idea what the hell we're talking about.
When you say people don't know who Gargamel is, come on now. No, I guess not.
I guess they had some recent movies, so I guess I could say that like even the millennials and whatnot, Gen Z, they probably have seen some Smurfs movies, but they don't appreciate the cartoon version of Gargamel that looks exactly like freaking Mike Leach.
Fair. Okay, second question from Jason. More critical for a dog win in Stark Vegas. Defense gets constant pressure on the quarterback or Georgia establishing the run game? What do you think is more important, John?
Establishing the run game. Based on the depth of throws, I don't think that we're going to be. I mean, it's going to be one of things. It's going to be one of those things where it's like they're going to be doing these little quick outs that, I guess maybe I underestimated the run game, quote unquote, because true run plays, they're 80 yards, right? But like if your average depth throw is like 6 something, some of these little quick outs are really designed runs, even though they count as pass plays. So I don't know that we're going to be able to get pressure. Now that said, like I didn't think we were going to be able to get pressure on Tennessee, but we blitzed them like literally 60 something % of the time, and we're able to get pressure. So I would say that there's a recipe there for us to continue to try to do that on a quick passing team. Again. So I would lean towards the run game. I believe that we can move. I believe that this could be a game that like Dejon Edwards and Kenny McIntosh and potentially Branson Robinson and potentially Kendall Milton, like we could all run home happy.
Nice. I like that. I like that answer. I think that's the right answer. I will just give the agree. All right, John, it is time.
It is time.
It is time for Coach Truebill's over-unders. Reminder, you are still in the lead. We had a push last week between the two of us, so you were able to maintain your lead. Starting with the offense.
Suck it, Jim. Suck it.
Starting with the offense. Over-under Georgia. Oh, wait, sorry. As you were in the lead, you get to pick who goes first. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll let you have honors, Jim.
Okay, over under 300 passing yards for Georgia. I'm going to say over.
I'm going to go with over.
Okay. Georgia players that score touchdowns on offense. Over under 4.5.
I'm going to go over.
Okay, agreed. And then over under 2.5 rushing touchdowns for Georgia. I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to go over.
Okay. Switching to the defense, and you can go first on this one. Over under 1.5 forced turnovers.
Sorry, I was just like running the math on my over unders there. Touchdowns.
Oh, that's fine.
Sorry.
Over under 1.5 turnovers for Mississippi State.
Wait.
This is our defense. We're on our defense. Over under 1.5 turnovers that our defense gets.
I'm gonna go under.
Okay, agreed. Sticking with the defense, over under 300 passing yards allowed by Mississippi State, and I'm going to go under.
Under.
And then over under Mississippi State total offensive yards 350.
That's a good line. I'm gonna go under.
Okay, agreed. Under. And on the special teams, over under 2.5 punts for Georgia. I'm gonna go over.
I'm also gonna go. I'm gonna go under.
Okay. And then miscellaneous. ESPN shows Uga and Bully together. Bully is their bulldog. Over under 1.5 times.
Over.
Okay. Under. Ha ha ha.
Oh,
I have written that down. All right. Awesome. Coach Trill, thank you as always for sending us the over-unders. We thoroughly enjoy them. And thank you for tracking them. Eager to see where the standings are after this week. All right, John, let's get into our final predictions. So the line is Georgia is favored by 16.5 points. The over-under is at 53.5 points. So that would give you an implied score of Georgia 35 to Mississippi State 18.5. Our guys at Chapel Bell Curve, the CBC R2 Sam has a predicted score of Georgia 40.1 to Mississippi State 18.1. Odd Shark has Georgia 47.5 to Mississippi State 27.7. You want me to go first, or do you want to go?
I'll let you go first.
So I kind of said earlier, some friends of my parents came to the Tennessee game with us, and after the game, we got back to my parents' house. We were eating dinner because they stayed with us, and the dad said to me, because so his son that came with us is a huge Georgia fan. He is not, but he was cheering for Georgia, for his son. And he looked at me and he said, "I don't think anybody's going to beat that Georgia team." And my response was, "I agree. It's just that Georgia team that we just watched isn't always the Georgia team that shows up." So kind of what we talked about earlier, right? Like what Georgia is going to show up, how seriously are we going to take it? So we're going to win this game. I think just like the mindset and how we're attacking the day, so to speak, as somebody would say, I think it's going to depend. Like that's going to dictate how much. So what I did again is I went back and once again looked at what our defense is, like how we are impacting the average score, right, of our opponents. And I actually added in this time and took a look at our offense. So like how much more our offense is scoring on a team than that team allows. So we're holding it, and I look at this only within the Power Five. So we are holding our opponents now to 18.15 points below their average scoring as far as what they tend to score against the Power Five. And we're scoring 12.34 points more on opponents than their opponents in the Power Five score on them. So using that, I'm going to go Georgia 38, Mississippi State 10. That's a win. That's a cover. And it's the under.
Nice. I'm going to go 40-16.
Okay. Nice. 40-16. Okay. So that's a cover, right?
I mean, yeah. Spread 16, right?
Yeah. I was told there would be no math. I'm just saying.
So there be no math.
Cool, man. Well, what was that cough? You sound like Mike Leach. No, I'm just kidding.
I do. I sound like Mike Leach. I need to go get an albuterol puff. As you may or may not know, if you have a family of asthma kids, this time of year is brutal. So
yeah,
I don't fall solidly in that category, but I'm a little bit in that category. So struggling today.
Gotcha. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not saying that I've felt the greatest all this week, but I think mine is more just to staying up late over the weekend and screaming at a football field in the rain. So
being surrounded by loud, obnoxious, drunk Georgia fans.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
What's on the menu? What's on the menu at the Woodhouse this weekend? Are you cooking wings? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, good question. I actually don't know because so much like you, like we don't have anything going on this weekend either. Like we've had all kinds of stuff going on. Like both kids have had theater things and through multiple places and everything. So we're going to be super low key this weekend. I think we might go see the new Black Panther movie. I'll say because I believe that comes out Friday. So maybe try to go see that this weekend. Other than that, super low key. And with it being a night game, should have time to actually like cook dinner before kickoff. So I don't know just yet. I'll tell you bean dip will be involved because the kids are well, Ella's going to request it. Lily isn't as big into the bean dip, but Ella loves it. And she's like, is there a game this weekend? Are we watching the game? Are we going to have bean dip? So bean dip will be on the menu. Main course TBD at this moment. Might do burgers.
You have to send me the recipe.
I'll send you the recipe.
I know we talked about it, but you got to send me the recipe so that I can partake as well.
I'll repost it. It's on our Instagram somewhere in the history, but I mean, so do you like guacamole? You like it in there.
I love guacamole.
Okay, so here's the quick version. It's a layer of guacamole, then sour cream, then black beans, and then you add in a layer of salsa and then cheese. The key is to thoroughly drain things. So you want to like thoroughly drain the black beans out of the can. And I strain the salsa in like a mesh strainer. So I do the Jack's salsa mild and throw it into a Jack's.
Just the Jack's? Because the Jack's has multiple versions, right?
Yeah, it's the one with the yellow lid. I can tell you that. It's like the more like standard one. It's not like the fancy flavor or whatever. It's just like the plain as far as theirs goes.
They all have yellow lids, just FYI.
They do? I thought there was like different colored lids based on it.
They have different color like bands.
Oh, okay.
All the lids are yellow.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
I'm familiar because I used to work like back in the day. I used to work in the deli at Publix. Okay. And I used to stock this stuff all the time. It was really good.
Well, you're like questioning me. I'm like, man, I don't. So I'll have to go check. I'll let you know.
The garden fresh mild salsa. So that sounds right. I'm guessing it's the green label.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. That's right. It's not like there's like a garlicky one. It's not that one. Like it's the garden fresh. That sounds right. Or that's what I use. But you can change it up and use whatever you want.
Garden fresh is the brand, but yes.
So I thought Jack's is the brand.
Jack's special salsa made by Garden Fresh Gourmet.
Okay.
We've gone off the rails.
Sorry,
Carter.
Okay. So, anyways, I'll send you the recipe. That's the key is on the straining. So
strain the salsa. That's intense.
Yeah, you don't want it to get too runny. So
okay. Yeah, I will say that's one drawback to Jack's salsa is that it's super runny.
Yeah. Yep. What about you? What do you get? Well, so you're hoping to sit out by the fire. I know I got that earlier.
I'm definitely going to sit by the fire. I've got to mulch or burn or do something with the leaves that are in my backyard. I got to figure that out. My mower is not powerful enough to completely turn them into powder like some of my neighbors, but I've got to figure that out.
Gotcha.
I have a hand-me-down smoker that I've used before, but like it needs like parts and stuff. So like I don't know. I may refurbish it and try to smoke something. But I've really been wanting to smoke a butt. That's been my thing, but I haven't done it yet. We'll see. We'll see if I get there. I've also been flirting with getting an actual smoker, like a Traeger or something like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean you've got all day. This wouldn't be a bad day to try it.
I know, right? I know. Well, we've also got people coming in town for Thanksgiving, so like I may do like a dry run just to like get something going. So.
Right. Nice, cool. Well, this was fun again. Always fun to discuss a matchup with the Pirate. Makes for fun conversation. This guy is so weird.
It's entertaining to say the least. We should all treasure the gift that is Mike Leach because I have a feeling that he's probably not going to be around for very long. But
Yeah,
Much longer.
I always questioned how he would fit into the SEC, and I guess we're seeing the fruits of that now. So
I'm just saying, like, if Dan Mullen gets fired after like a handful of seasons or whatever from a place like Florida, like I get it, it's Mississippi State, but like the guy is weird, right? And not to mention the fact that he looks like he's getting sick. I don't know.
and coughing.
But like he's closing, he's in the middle of the game. He's over on the sideline closing up chairs. like what? What are you doing?
Oh man, yeah, he's interesting. He's interesting. All right, man. Well, fun as always, and I know we'll be talking on Saturday and texting throughout the game, and looking forward to it under the lights. And I guess we'll hear the cowbells. Hopefully we can quiet them down.
I got a fever.
Nice.
The
Nice.
only prescription for it is no more cowbell.
I like how you modified it. Nice modification.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll see you. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.